any other Yume Nikki fan game.
Yume Nikki and it released in 2004 made pretty huge impact in the game scene. This game was extremely unique, nothing like that existed on the internet back then. And so because of how weird and one of a kind that game was, people started to make their own reimaginations of it. Since Yume Nikki was game when author most likely transformed their own dreams into words in this game, it's very interesting in my opinion how other people are replicating that process themselves. And obviously in every community of game which has a lot of reimaginations of it, some of those reimaginations, or in Waterfall Fangames, are better or worse. But today I will talk about one of those better, at least in my opinion, Yume Nikki Fangames, and as my personal favorite of all of them, as of time I'm recording that video. .flow. .flow as a game has definitely darker, more obscure, maybe even a little more grim atmosphere than Yume Nikki, since while both games are considered as horror games, in Yume Nikki horror elements for most players aren't even considered unsettling that much. Sure, we have events like Obua and The Face, which definitely does sudden change in atmosphere of this game, but could you really say that you felt very uncomfortable when seeing them for the first time? I guess for some people answer could be yes, but for me the element of horror was really lacking in this game. Luckily enough, if you didn't feel satisfied enough because of horror/thriller aspect of Yume Nikki, .flow is something that can pretty much content your needs. .flow contains frightening and really concerning elements of body horror in some parts of it. There are also places where you can even hear someone's heartbeat. Or this weird kind of moaning. It also contains themes of brutal decay of our main character. Obviously, let me clarify, it's not like whole game is based on this kind of imagery, because either way it could be too hard to handle for casual players. There's only a small part of really unnerving areas and other things in this game like that, but .flow essentially works the same as Yume Nikki. You are exploring various different areas which very likely are presenting interpretations of game author dreams, displayed as most likely memories of main character. Still, it's worth noting that quantitative ratio of those not scary areas and unnerving ones is different than in Yume Nikki, and I meant that there are more of those discomforting areas in .flow by that. But let's talk about general overview what .flow does which makes it different than its predecessor. When starting the game we are welcomed with pretty unsettling menu screen, along with calm and also unsettling as well song. After obviously starting new game, we are greeted with this very peculiar and glitchy cutscene which is very hard to interpret. Does it have some meaning? Hard to say. After all, .flow is Yume Nikki fan game, and Yume Nikki itself had a lot of stuff which was pretty difficult to understand if it has any meaning or was it made solely for some abstract artistical purposes. After that, our little character, I guess it's a good time to introduce her right now. Her name is Sabitsuki, is spawned into a little empty grey room, with size similar to this one from Yume Nikki. Because of its emptiness, we are very limited to things we can do here. We have TV that plays nothing but red static noise, Console, which has one game, obviously not too interesting one. Bookshelf, yeah. Entrance to balcony. It's really not most beautiful balcony nor building itself. It looks like very neglected, very old Slavic apartment block. View outside isn't much stunning too, like you are in the midst of nowhere. For rest of the room, we have door which obviously won't gonna be open any soon as in Yume Nikki, of course. Bunch of pillows, and two most important furnitures in this game. Bed and computer desk. First one is used to save your progress in the game, same as desk was used in Yume Nikki. And desk for entering actual part of the game, same as bed in Yume Nikki. So yeah, we have role reversal here in comparison to a predecessor. Pretty interesting choice, I gotta say. But enough of that, let's move to the actual part of this game. Dream world, or in this case maybe virtual world, since our Sabitsuki enters to it throughout her computer. So it makes bigger sense to call it virtual world, but whatever, most people call it dream world, and because of that I'm gonna call it like that as well. And yeah, after interacting with computer, we are waiting 3 seconds and then we are spawned into balcony, but same as in Yume Nikki case, it's not the same balcony nor the same world. Outside view, instead of being grey, almost cloudless empty sky, this time is completely dark void with some blurry shining red elements and reading ambient loop. Full version of this background looks like it meant to represent some flowers, maybe balloons by the way. Kinda hard to define what it meant to be in my opinion. Well, it's abstract piece of art after all. Well, Yume Nikki fangame after all. So nothing too unexpected, all up to individual interpretation. After entering to Sabitsuki bedroom, we cannot see any differences at first glance, but it's easy to guess that real stuff gonna happen when we will enter doors. This time, area behind doors in Dream World doesn't lead to a place with other different doors, but rather to a strange looking room with 4 different directions. Each direction leads to other worlds, notably dysmorphic world, music world, plant world, and utility pole world. Despite only 4 main ways to go, amount of .4 maps available to access is pretty much the same as in Yume Nikki. Although it could seem that Yume Nikki is still bigger, because .4 worlds, at least from my observations, are mostly smaller than in its predecessor. So now let's talk about deeper worlds / maps accessible via passages in 4 main worlds. Some of them have pretty sinister atmosphere. Let's take for example Visceral World, known also as Flesh Wars World, which is deeper map accessible throughout Inside's world. I find this world to be easily one of most disturbing out there. BGM here is literally sound of beating heart, which straight up sets pretty uneasy atmosphere. And those animated worlds here, they look like some kind of human innards moving slowly. I don't know, not most pleasant thing to watch. Also speaking of human insides, remember how final area of Earthbound looked deceptively similar to female uterus? Well, that flow got a little inspiration out of it. Deeper maps of Visceral World area looks like liver, and another one maybe like lungs a little. Not quite a huge idea in comparison that much, but still something worth spotting. Now let's talk about Sculpture World, known also as Vomit Girl area, and boy oh boy, this stuff is terrifying. Visceral World was really unnerving audiovisual experience, but Sculpture World, this is on the next level. Background music instead of heartbeat now sounds like very uncomfortable sounding female trying to catch breath. Background image is some hard to identify part of human innards, moving in pretty disgusting way. It makes me feel very unsettled to say at least. Throughout Sculpture World, you can access even deeper location, which depicts certain women laying on the ground and vomiting, while BGM becomes a more rapey version of previous location BGM. Enter through her mouth and you find yourself in some corridor leading to a place with girl standing in front of a cliff, isolated by huge white hands. This scene, along with other things shown in this game, very likely portrays memories from Sabitsuki's childhood or just her past. They are shown in a really very abstract and weird way, and we just can't easily interpret what they mean, but we surely can guess. Based on what I've shown, it's kinda obvious to guess that our Sabitsuki is struggling with a difficult past, and what we're witnessing here is complex interpretation of what is in her mind. Now I also want to say that not every location / maps are like that in this game. Whole .flow is compilation of pretty normal, basic dreamworks like Yume Nikki has. Take as examples: Sewers, Orange Maze, Submarine World, and those more grim, kinda obscure ones, like Prison, Disposal, or Decaying Art Gallery. So you really can say that all areas here are monothematic in terms of aesthetics. But now let's move to a key mechanic of this game, obviously taken from Yume Nikki as well: effects. In .flow case, amount of effects is identical to this from Yume Nikki, 24, and similar as in Yume Nikki, most of them doesn't even have practical usage. For most of them, you're just collecting them for the sake of getting ending, and only 4 of them are having real usage. The rest is barely worth talking about. Those 4 are Broom, Iron Pipe, Ghost, and Arms. Broom makes you travel more or less 2 times faster than while walking normally. Iron Pipe allows you to kill NPCs. Ghost makes you invisible to NPCs. And Arms are teleporting you to Nexus. Easy as that. Though my problem is that Broom effect, unlike Iron Pipe, which is easy to get, just go to utility poleward, go down, then go right, and you have it. Requires you to go through very complicated path to get it. You have firstly go to utility poleward, then apartments, then Cloud World, then Famicom World, then Witch House to get it. It's kinda shame that practically most useful and important effect in the whole game is so hard to get. Without help of some guides or wikis, you might have trouble with getting it. And it's a little shame, since in Yume Nikki to get effect which allows you to travel faster, you didn't need it as much searching, and I believe that placing it in some more accessible place would help. But besides that, it's all alright with effects mechanic in this game. And obviously I'm not saying that only those effects are interesting out there. I really like machine, headphones, and psychedelic effects aesthetics wise too. But okay, enough for the effects topic. Now let's talk about next game aspect which is inspired from Yume Nikki in flow. Events. Special interactions which could you trigger by making certain things here. And similar as in location aspect, some of flow events are definitely darker, more obscure. Though instead of some, I would risk referring to a proportion of those scary ones to not scary ones as most. Most of them are actually low-key frightening. Let's take for example Blood plus Rust event. To trigger it, you need to hit to the sewers map, go right till the end, and keep interacting with this leaking pipe till this huge blob outside will change its colors. After interacting with it, you are getting transported to a path filled with weird, bloody, bushy thingies, with lots of them having passage leading you to a bloody white elevator. After getting here, suddenly all of music stops playing and you are greeted with a black doorway which disables Sabitsuki equipped effect and doesn't allow you to go further. More attempting to go through this way will lead to finding of our main character and instantly exiting dream mode. What she had to go through looked very painful, not gonna lie. Another event that I want to mention is Underwater Massacre. You can trigger it in Underwater Settlement, which is accessible via Underwater area. Underwater Settlement is pretty chill place, filled with some stickmans with march heads instead of regular stickman heads, or at least that's how they looks like to me. But to trigger this certain event, you unfortunately had to kill all stickman guitarists located in the spot, which will mute background music here. Making that and heading to one of their houses and then exiting it will shrink your vision area, change BGM which used to play here, and make all stickmans chase after you, until they will catch you. Catching you by one of them gonna teleport you to a small piece of hell area, filled with other stickmans unable to move. Unlike in first event case, I can guess what it meant to mean speaking of possibly referring to her old memories. In case of first event, it probably symbolized some room which was too scary for Sabitsuki to enter and induced trauma in her mind. But for this event, I don't know. Did she mass murder people in her childhood or something? Maybe not that literally. It could refer to destroying some toys if so. I don't know. But enough of that. Let's talk about the last event which I want to discuss. Name of it is literally Nightmare Event. It's probably by far hardest one to trigger. Because for it to happen, you need to get a certain amount of erosion points. Erosion points and friendship points are one of the secret values that you can get in that flow. Increase friendship points by interacting with certain character in underwater area named Oreko to 30 points and you will be able to unlock special menu theme. And increasing erosion points can also let you unlock one menu theme if you will collect 100 of those points. Erosion points are collected by triggering some events, which make Sabitsuki faint or experience some deadly situations. Like previously mentioned, Blood Past Rust event or Barkai Boots event. It's worth to mention that the more erosion points you will get, the more bloody stains on your room will appear. It's very likely meant to represent Sabitsuki's decaying state of mind because of experiencing old memories again via triggering those events over and over in dream mode. But okay, how is erosion counter connected to nightmare event? Well, to be able to trigger it, you have to obtain not 50, not 100, not 150, but 250 of those points. By suffering that much blood or uneasy events and collecting that many of those points and then waking up from our balcony in dream mode, we'll finally trigger the event. But this time, after pinching her cheek, our white-haired girl doesn't move from her computer away, but instantly appears in the bed, unable to move. After 3 seconds, room screen gets progressively more dark and red, to the point where graphics starts to look like they are taken from username 666 video, and room gets more bloody in some places. Then Kaibutsu, which is chaser in this game, enters bedroom slowly getting into Sabitsuki bed, and music becomes more and more tense. After getting as close as possible to her bed, nightmare ends, and we are again in the standard bedroom. Yeah, to be honest, it's probably the most interesting event available out there in my opinion. Like existence of Kaibutsu, which was always limited to a couple of remote areas, now entering our room like it was nothing to him. It really felt out of place. This and that unnerving screen distortion combined makes it a very sinister audiovisual experience, especially considering how much time consuming it is to even be able to trigger it. So yeah, some of events there are really exceptionally dark, but same as in Location's case, I want to clarify that it's not like all of this are like that. We have also stuff like, for example, Rainbow Flower event, or Witchlight event, which is the outer version of Witchlight event from Yume Nikki. Now when we discuss almost all things which we're here to discuss, let's talk about this game endings. So in terms of endings, .flow is more extended than Yume Nikki. In .flow, instead of one, it has whole 3 endings. Triggering first is almost identical to how you trigger ending in Yume Nikki. You need to get all 24 effects available to obtain. After obtaining all of them, wake up in your room to unlock door from Sabitsuki room, and voila! You are greeted with short cutscene of our main character standing in front of... wait, another balcony? Then you get credits, and that's it for first ending. It's also worth mentioning that in case of this ending, we can see red stain of blood same as in Yume Nikki ending, which very likely symbolizes Sabitsuki's fate. Getting second ending requires you to drop all of your 24 effects in computer UI while being in dream mode, and yeah, somehow you can walk in your dream mode computer as well. Then do the same as in first ending, go open your doors, and now you got company in the form of a maid. It's the same maid which happened to appear in Rusted Painting area, accessible via Sugar Hall. But yeah, in case of this ending, she just approaches you, and you also seeing credits, but this time slightly modified version of them, when maid is holding Sabitsuki body. The third, also known as tour ending, is definitely hardest to get. You see, there are some places in this game which weren't accessible before dropping all of your effects in a computer. Certain room in school area and some kind of wound passage at the end of hospital area. Trying to access them in normal gameplay was removing your current effect and blocked your way. But now, when you permanently dropped all of your effects in dream mode computer, Our main character changes from Sabitsuki to Rust. Rust cannot use any effects, well, because they are unavailable now, but in exchange for that, she can access those areas. Accessing those areas and interacting with certain things here will make empty boxes appear. You need a total of 3 empty boxes unlocked to go further. 3rd of them is available to find in deeper layer of orange maze with, well, big Sabitsuki into capsule. Unlocking 3 of them will result with, well, that's not what you can expect. Elevator in your room. I mean, okay, let's find out where it will lead. Maybe we finally can somehow escape that apartment, since doors never was the best option for us. We already saw almost identical elevator in hospital, but this one, instead of parade sign, has Rust sign after it stops. Now let's see what we gonna get here. Will we finally be able to maybe escape this apartment, even if it's in the dream world? Well, not at all. After exiting elevator, we appear on a more minimalistic version of last hospital hallway, but with Fituzes instead of children NPCs. Fituzes are almost exclusive NPCs to Rust gameplay. You can encounter them as Sabitsuki, but only in Deranged Mouth World. When interacting with them, Rust becomes more and more blood-soaked, until she will faint and wake up from dream world. Unfortunately for us, the final corridor is full of them, and since Rust cannot avoid their attacks, she inevitably becomes more and more damaged by them. At the end of the corridor, there is doorway leading you to yet another corridor, which is more red version of previous one, also full of those Fituzes NPCs. And then even more bloody variant of it. And then corridor which uses the same textures as in Fleshwall's world. And next up, another one, but with some weird plants, which looks like they are having drenched Sabitsuki heads as flowers. Pretty peculiar imagery, not gonna lie. This corridor was the last one, and the last doorway is leading us to ourselves? Yeah, not something to expect. Copy of us. Possible that it's Sabitsuki, since we are Rust right now. She is in the same condition as our Rust. Interacting with her will result in... yeah, we're destroying ourselves. That's how this nightmare ends. After all of those not most visually pleasant events, we as always choosing to exit room via doors. Similar as in second ending, Maid awaits us. This time she holds chainsaw? What the hell is this? But this isn't Dreamworld anymore. Why she wanted to hurt Sabitsuki? Sabitsuki and Maid comes closer to themselves, resulting in harming our character. After that, as in case of second ending, we can see credit screen. But now, also with Sabitsuki working next to all of these game NPCs with her headphones on. None of these endings are straight up as self-explanatory as in Yume Nikki case. but surely can give some idea about our white-haired girl mental state. In Madotsuki from Yume Nikki case, ending obviously showed that she was struggling with her mental health. For .flow main character, first ending could represent the same thing, but we don't have any idea what other endings could mean. It's all up to personal interpretation if you would ask me. I would never guess what Mate with Chainsaw could potentially mean. Heh. Overall, if you like games with visibly more grim and visceral atmosphere, .flow is a game which you should check. Despite being Yume Nikki fan game, it successfully managed to become its own thing, because of more raw theming in comparison to original. .flow focuses more on making player feel some kind of anxiety, rather than solely showing abstract interpretations of someone's dreams. If you wish for a more creepy experience than from its predecessor, it's really something for you. Because of the approach of this game of showing dreams in the way they're showed there, .flow became one of my favorite Yume Nikki fan games of all time. And so I hope that after this video you could appreciate it as much as I do.